everybody, and here we are. It's another audio mullet. I can't believe it. I can't believe that another audio mullet's happening. And
I can't believe it either.
I'm trying to work up all the enthusiasm I can about it because it's a thing that's happened over 40 times, but I still need to be excited that it's happening again.
My soul just blew out of the back of my body, like in Doctor Strange, by your intro.
My child, yeah, you need that childlike excitement about things. Like Chesterton says that God, what if he's like excited and clapping like a child every time the sun rises? He doesn't get bored of it.
Yeah, he says, do it again, do it again.
I need that attitude about openings.
Doing it again, doing another audio mullet. I'm Doug Tenaple. I make stuff, and mostly I'm here with my friend Ethan Nicole, who also makes stuff. We just make things.
Yeah, and Mike Nelson is here, but he has taken a vow of silence, so he's just staring at us with a dead, cold stare. Yeah,
he's making everything but audio mullet today.
It was a brief moment where we had him for like he came on with you, and then he came on with all of us, and he came on the B podcast too.
Yeah, we tricked him on, and then he shook. He snapped out of it and said, "What am I doing?"
I don't know what happened.
But, no, it was good. We caught him at a lucky time between work. He's a workaholic.
I think that was the biggest platform he's ever admitted his Christianity on, because it got a big response. Like we did an episode of the Babylon Bee podcast with him.
Yeah.
And that thing is reaching like easily around 20,000 people, but and up. And a lot of the podcast posts don't get a lot of responses because it's not a normal, satire news article post.
Yeah.
But a lot of people, what? That guy's a Christian?
Yeah.
But a lot of people really encouraged.
Not just a Christian, but a core Christian.
Yeah, like legit.
He's not the culturally cute kind.
Yeah.
He's dangerous.
Yeah. Anybody who will admit to being a Christian publicly, that already says they're fairly serious, it seems like. Unless they qualify it immediately with but I'm not like one of those Christians.
Yeah. Now everyone's got to say, I really like Mike's work. Now, he and I disagree on a lot of stuff. I hate that is so cowardly. And we're all programmed. Right. We all have to do it. If you're friends with someone, if I said, I've studied a lot of John Kricfalusi's animation.
Yeah.
And if I just left it at that, I'd be in trouble. So then I have to go, I got to put the proper amount of distance. Now I don't endorse.
Yeah, that's only if they're on that side, like if they're on the wrong side of the cultural line, right?
Yeah.
Because if they're far left, you don't have to qualify and be like, we don't agree on everything, but I really respect their ink lines.
You want the camouflage of people possibly accidentally thinking that you agree with them across a whole bunch of pagan views.
Pagans.
So you have the comfort of being their friend, but for them to maintain their friendship, they have to announce the laundry list of distance from you. Now, he and I, he's real crunchy. We don't believe the same. I don't agree with him on a lot of stuff. That's like the number one tweet from friends online.
Oh, about you?
Oh yeah. And you got to figure across the board that keeps them from wanting to tweet that they fund my campaigns because they're just going to get hit. Mm-hmm. And as soon as they get hit, if they go look at this great work, back this book, then they get hit. Doug's of this, Doug's of that. Just fill in the blank on the phobe. And the first response is, hey, we just disagree on a lot of stuff. I respect his art a lot. I respect his work.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in this day and age, it's actually, it's sad, but that's, it's nice that people are at least even doing that.
Yeah, those are the friends that haven't just out and out. Those are the friends that just don't ghost you. They're the ones that'll still.
Yeah, at least they're not ghosting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so they get a credit for courage by throwing me under the bus. They get a courage credit just for merely throwing me under the bus and not ghosting me.
Yeah, I found friends from comics that have deleted me completely off of Twitter. I'm not blocked, but we have a history of direct messages. But now I can't message them. They don't follow me anymore. I'm not they just cut me off.
Yeah.
And they've never said a thing to me. It's just, they must.
Well, that's not going to happen. I mean, there's so many people who I've unfollowed because they're so square and there's so much like, say anti-life stuff in their tweets. I'm not going to go confront them first and say, hey, I just wanted you to know I have to unfollow you.
Yeah. It's just a little
so you're not going to get that from them.
Yeah. Though I'm not a big unfollower unless they're just constant, just please stop. But usually I am. If somebody says something really kind of toxic and nasty to me, I just mute them. I like mute.
Yeah.
It's so passive.
I would prefer to mute.
Yeah. So, what are we talking about?
You look all cleaned up. Oh, that's what we're going to talk about first. Is last week you looked like Grizzly Adams. You look like, one of the Geico cavemen. You had the long beard and kind of shaggy hair. And then when we just Skyped and I'm looking at you now and you're all trimmed, I went, whoa, you cleaned up. And though I know your values are identical, you look like a completely different person to me.
I just shaved my beard. My wife was getting sick of it. I wanted to get it trimmed by somebody because I hate shaving my own beard, like trimming it down.
Yeah.
I don't like shaving off completely. And it's really laborious, even with trimmers. Like my clippers they still have to go over and over and over to get one spot down. It's like,
yeah.
Anyway, it's a project. And then I get hair everywhere. And so I kind of kept putting it off. I was going to, try to go to a barber or something, but I still haven't had the chance. And I'm growing, I could cut the hair that I have now into a mullet because I have a pretty long hair in the back at the moment.
It looks really short in the front.
Yeah.
It looks trim.
It's deceiving from the camera angle, probably.
So that's what I want to talk about is what's your look and how do you decide what your look is? Because if you see a friend, say, who wears a suit, it just says something different than the guy that shows up and he has bleach splattered all over his trench coat, or whatever, and ear gauges or tattoos or whatever. And we all pretend like we just came up with this look, like, oh, I just rolled out of bed and this is how I look. I wear, let's say I wear sweats all the time, or I wear, awesome blazers and a fedora. I wear a pork pie hat, ironic pork pie. I have a pierced ear. There's all these different ways that you can dress up. It's like the little Magnadoodle guy where you put the little magnetic beard on him, or you shave it down to a Fu Manchu, or if you walked around with a little Hitler 1-inch mustache, it would start to say stuff about you. And so everyone is kind of marketing themselves through what they wear. Is that right?
I think it's just it's inevitable. I don't know that it's right or wrong. I do admit that I choose the fairly neutral outfits because I do judge people on their outfits, and I think that was kind of a revelation to me when I was really into being Mr. Grunge, Kurt Cobain, wearing Barbie heads around my neck, long hair, pink hair, safety pins and all my combat boots and stuff in high school. It had a huge impact to me when, number one, my friend who died was this amazing artist, and he never put much thought into what he wore. He wasn't a slob. He just wore a button-up shirt and jeans. He was a very normal-looking guy. Around that same time, I had another friend who was an artist who didn't die, but he was a very positive influence. People loved him, and he's just a normal guy. He just dressed normal. He didn't care about all that. So there's just a couple of people in my life that I looked up to, and they didn't make a big deal about their outfits. And
they dressed with
I wanted that
camouflage neutrality.
Well, because I realized that I had a friend named Travis, and he wasn't, even though he was known by everybody as being kind of a unique individual guy, it wouldn't be just by looking at him. It was just his personality. And I suddenly kind of wanted that. I wanted people to think of me as unique and individual or whatever. I wanted to be that, but I didn't want it to be my outfit. Yeah. Then it became obvious as you get older that those outfits aren't unique and original. It's a uniform.
Yeah. You're just identifying with a different group. So
yeah.
Like pastors, I noticed none of my pastors wear ties anymore. They want to look more approachable.
Too cool, yeah.
They want to look approachable. Open button down shirt, top
open
button
collar,
open,
rolled up
blazer, usually slacks, sometimes jeans.
Yeah.
That's the look.
Yeah, that
but
is
what
one
if a guy
frustrating
came
thing.
out and started preaching and he was dressed like Rob Zombie? what would
I have
you
an
think?
issue with that too. It's not that a guy like that couldn't have something great to say, but I do immediately feel I judge, and I don't know if I'm right about this, but it's just an instinct. I guess it's because I kind of abandoned it in high school. Yeah, a pastor that has big old ear gauges and sleeve of tattoos and stuff, and you know they're that into their outward image that you know that's a big investment of your time and attention. You know.
Yeah, and they use the lingo.
Yeah.
Salty, leet speak, boomer. Just pick up the lingo and put it out there to show or reference. I don't even know what's contemporary to know what to reference. You know, like Walking Dead or something or Breaking Bad to show how culturally hip you are. You reference it casually in your sermon. And so do people in normal pitches. They almost want to find a band that's so obscure that they can help you discover them. So they can be like, I'm on the front edge of culture.
Yeah, and I guess there is something, I mean, there may be something to be said for that a guy like that may be able to reach people that would have opened their mind to that in the first place. I mean,
sure,
it's possible. You know, you might reach the Insane Clown Posse guys because you look like you like Insane Clown Posse. But
see, there's another 20-year-old reference trying to be show how hip you are.
Juggalo ministry.
That metalhead, that Motorhead group. Gwar.
Pantera fans.
Gwar, yeah, Pantera. Rat is my favorite band. Am I right, people? Am I right? The kids are doing this heavy metal rock and roll now and teasing their hair out with the black eyeliner.
Like Eddie Van Halen. Yeah.
Eddie Van Halen. They're all grandpas now.
White Snake.
What about you? Recently had a interaction with a pastor or someone who was a little dressed down, looked a little hip.
Oh yeah, well we just had Jeff Durbin on our podcast on Babylon Bee, and we never talked about it. I want to get into it, but he talks a lot and very fast, and so I realized that if you set him off on a topic, it takes up a huge chunk of the show. So we just weren't able to get to that.
Which is good. You just put it on autopilot.
It's like autopilot. Like he would just ask a question and sit there and kind of look at our phones until he was done. But no, that's actually a great interview because he's one of these guys who, you know, on one hand, I have a ton of respect for him. He does atheism debates and he's a great debater.
Yeah.
He stands out in front of strip clubs, abortion clinics, all these places, and confronts people and talks to them in a very well thought out, you know, he brings up arguments with them. He's not a jerk.
Yeah. They'd save a lot of time putting an abortion clinic next to a strip club. They'd give you a twofer. They probably have coupons.
Yeah. Just make it all in one building.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do have a knee-jerk reaction because he has kind of this persona that he's, you know, walking around with aviators, hair gel, tattoos. He has other guys in his church. A lot of the guys in his church, they look like Juggalo type guys, like Insane Clown Posse industry.
That's his church culture.
Yeah.
Is they dress it down to culture.
And so I'm only bringing it up as not to tell people what to think of it as much as like I have a reaction to that and I'm trying to figure out am I wrong or like it's not a big enough thing where I want to take any kind of stand against it. It's like I don't know. It's just something that I get judgmental about.
Yeah, and I get real self-conscious if I dress too different. Like I want to grow my hair out long, but I'm 53 years old and just so tall I can't hide in a crowd, you know? So it feels like I'm growing my hair out long and broadcasting it instead of just doing it for me. It's like I want to do it for me.
Yeah.
It would look awful. It would simply look awful.
Yeah,
and I'm like, I don't want to do this to my wife and kids, but I want to grow my hair long. So why not?
Hilarious. Like a big old ponytail.
Yeah. So instead of posing to grow my hair out, I'm posing by cutting my hair normal.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, the beard is the closest thing to like any kind of fashion statement I've had, and that's just neglect mostly.
Yeah. And it's weird how a while ago, like beards was like, oh, that guy's got a huge beard. Then Duck Dynasty came along. And I'm by the way, I love the way Phil Robertson wears his beard because it looks legit. I mean, he's a real duck hunting, backwoods guy. I mean, he wears it. Even when he wears sunglasses and he preaches, it's like, that's just, he wears that stuff all day. Mm-hmm. But I feel like I'm always kind of putting on a costume when I choose to go out because I feel like I'm so on display.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I agree. So is that us? Is our temperament or what? I mean, what makes us different from, because you dress a little bit weirder than me, but you have your own style, but neither of us are real, we don't go out wearing like bright pink mohawks or anything.
That's right. Right. I wouldn't do that as a choice, but like I want to wear a hat in church and I won't wear like a baseball cap. Mm-hmm. I'm an usher, and I don't want to walk up there with a baseball cap on. I think that would be seen as dorky. Mm-hmm. So I don't wear a baseball cap. Just I don't want to draw attention to myself, and that's why I won't grow my hair long, because it draws attention to myself, though I prefer that.
What about scripture when it says the men should not cover their heads in church? Do you think that's like a hard scripture that if someone wears a hat in church, they're sinning?
I've read that verse a lot, and it's really a weird one. It says, of course, a woman should wear her hair long because it's her glory, but a man, it's to his shame. And it almost seems like he could wear long hair to be of low mourning position. I don't know.
Yeah, I've seen that. Like we had I think it was in our old Catholic church. If one of us would wear a hat to church, we'd get confronted by one of the elders or whatever. They'd be like, they wouldn't be mean, but they just cite the scripture and be like, your head is to be not covered in church, please. And they'd ask us to take the hat off.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. So they're observing that thing. I'm all for observing those rituals for churches that obey those scriptures, that if it's a command and that is their interpretation of it, then I think that's cool, because I'm always looking for.
Yeah, I don't have an issue with it.
Especially if they teach on it and unpack it for you and say, this is why a man leaves his head uncovered, or a woman does cover her head in church. Do the women all have to wear covering?
Yeah, that's the weird thing is, the women aren't all wearing covering, but that's what the scripture says, right? The women who have to wear a head covering.
Oh yeah, it's a weird command too. It's right there with the forbiddance of a man laying down with a man. I mean,
this is Paul, right?
Yeah, this is Paul. It doesn't seem, and everyone always dismisses it, going, now that's obviously just a local custom.
Yeah, it's like a cultural.
Yeah, and I'm going, you're just saying that because it sounds weird. I mean, maybe there's a teaching that would make it very useful for men to not have their head covered. As a symbol, perhaps, that they're the head of the family, and the woman is to cover her head out of a outward act of humility, like an outward symbol of humility.
Maybe the men lust after the long, luscious curls.
That is not in the Bible. That is not. It is not. That's Islam, buddy. You got the wrong one. Yeah. That's where if a woman shows an ankle and you get turned on by it, it's your fault, not her. It's like, and they're like going, no, she has to cover her, put her in a bag so it doesn't tempt you. I don't like women dressed like strippers either in church, and I've seen some. Not at our church, but I've seen them in other churches, the casual dress churches where the women really doll up. And I'm just going, I wish you showed a little more prudence.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's barely noticeable, but when I go to church, I do dress in my slightly nicer clothes. I have like where instead of a black t-shirt, I'll wear like a button shirt.
Yeah. I have a no t-shirt rule. I try and keep it buttoned down.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
If I'm in a hurry, I might throw a t-shirt on, but I'll always wear a blazer or a suit coat over it or something, so that it at least tidies it up a little bit. But usually, and no prints, on it. I want a plain black shirt or something.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if we're going to solve this one.
Yeah, I guess it's kind of a whatever. Not everything has to be the end of Western civilization, but but in general, if you had a choice, would you put men back in suits and ties, wear a hat to church, take it off, women in nice dresses? Would you put it back there if you could?
It's a good question. I don't know, because I kind of when we're free to choose to do it, the people that are doing it they've thought through why they're doing it, and if everybody's just kind of forced to do it, they're doing it culturally. It's almost like there's less of that. So I don't know. I don't know.
Like
There's a weird trade-off.
I don't know if it was Dennis Miller or someone who said, like, you know, you used to have to dress up to go on a plane. You'd dress up to go on a plane. And then he goes, then he remembered seeing like one guy walk up with a pair of flip-flops. And he goes, now it just looks like the Goodwill on a plane. Like everyone just dresses like bums.
Yeah. Yeah, that was, I mean, everybody dressed up for everything back in like the 50s or whatever. I guess it was the hippies, the 60s that kind of, yeah.
Now, if my pastor wore a tie, I'd be like, whoa, whoa.
Yeah.
I
don't know. Yeah, I guess I don't care enough. I just don't care enough.
What I do care about.
I probably would hate it if we all had to.
Have you heard about a killer virus that's attacking us all right now?
No, what are you talking about?
There's this killer virus in Chicago right now where 41 people a month are shooting each other. They're murdering, black on black crime. I just wanted to say there's an outrageous epidemic with a very high body count that's hitting Chicago, and we all need to, the media should be going crazy about it, right? The media should be telling everyone.
The only epidemic I see here, Doug, is your racism.
No black on black crime.
acknowledging things that are true, but especially if you acknowledge that this other virus people was talking about came from China. You can't say that.
Yeah, like China's one child policy where they murder 10,000 human beings a day. That's world news, right? Your abortion policy. And in America, 3,000 people a day. We got to do something about this virus. The government we should be looting stores for basic goods.
I didn't want to talk about this virus, but it is so annoying how companies that you will never have any physical interaction with whatsoever. You'll never meet these people. They're online companies. They're emailing everybody about their coronavirus policy. Like, we care. I'm getting an email from every company I've ever interacted with in any way is sending me an email to let me know. They all know about washing their hands.
Yeah, it's going to be like antibacterial packaging is going to be on your cereal boxes now. They're going to just like the little recycle symbol and using non-GMO, grains and stuff. It's going to be now with antibacterial packaging.
I wonder if all the people that always go like, hey man, overpopulation, we need something to wipe out a good chunk of the population. Are they like celebrating right now? Is this like...
Yeah, why wouldn't this be just Darwinism at work?
Yeah, like
just weeding out the weak members of population who are susceptible. Like they always use that as an argument, like, hey, viruses mutate. They're fundy. Hey, fundy. Viruses mutate. That's my proof of there's no God and evolution creates everything. I'm like, yeah, so it's trying to edit. You should let it edit the population.
Yes, because as far as I know, the virus is all Trump's fault. So,
oh yeah.
But if you want to wipe out, if wiping out a good chunk of the human population is good to save the earth, then you should be pretty happy with Trump, I guess. If you think he's perpetuating this virus.
Oh, I saw a killer I don't know if you did this Babylon Bee article or not, but I died this. It was
probably not.
after the stock market crash. It says Barack Obama now no longer responsible for the economy.
No longer taking responsibility. Yeah.
Oh,
that was Kyle or Frank.
He's good. Give him a hat tip on that one, because that one just got
that one
me.
went huge.
I fell down, man. It was so good. So brilliant. And then now that it has the biggest boom in the stock market history yesterday, it's going to be like, oh, that was his policies again. His policies are back. It's going to be do a little follow up on the next Babylon Bee. Stock market soars. Obama back in charge. Oh, so good. So what are you working on? I've been writing the Earthworm Jim 2 script, trying to pound out about 4 or 5 pages a day.
I wish I was, I wish I had like a project that I was working on daily besides my work, which is mostly the Babylon Bee.
Yeah.
And then on the side, I'm doing this illustrations for work, for pay.
For Henry Winkler?
For Henry Winkler, mostly to pay taxes. And
you pay taxes with the Fonz.
Yeah, the Fonz pays me. I pay the taxes with the Fonz money. But yeah, I have a couple projects I'd really like to. I mean, there's this book series I've been working on, but it's not even really worth talking about at this point.
Because you'll never do it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I have a chapter done, chapter and a half, a bunch of concept art and a bunch of tons of outlining and stuff. But yeah, nothing too exciting to like announce, I don't think.
You got nothing.
I got nothing. I need to like get back and getting up early and working.
You got to have a side project that you're excited about that is creatively stimulating. I think you got to have one of those just to get by.
I have a couple of things I've like started. I have another book I've started, I'm in this weird spot right now where I don't have a thing I'm like diving into. And
I'm all for taking a break. I don't like it when that break goes from say 1 to 3 months to 3 to 6 months. And then you're just realizing you're just not putting anything out.
Yeah.
It's so easy to sit here in the relax period and just never get going again.
Yeah.
Paying bills, everything's an emergency. And then you realize like, how am I going to get enough time together to do a project? Yeah. I've been messing around in Clip Studio Paint. I'm trying to animate again. So I had a buddy, DreamWorks animator. We had a little private chat and he walked me through some of the how to set the program up, and I did a few animated cells. So I'm starting to learn that.
Yeah, I've been using that on my iPad, and it works great. Actually, I was amazed. It's a great way to draw portably. Really amazed by it. The Apple Pencil works amazing.
Yeah, for knocking out animation, sure.
Yeah, whatever. It's in a lot of ways it feels better than my Wacom. I've never been able to find a good portable digital drawing tool, but I've been amazed by the new iPad.
It's working.
Pro tip.
I think we have one.
Should we read any mail?
Yeah. You got any?
We have, let's see here.
Oh, we had those 2 heartbreaking letters from last week. Was just
heartbreaking
of artists underground that can't, they're mainstream artists working in animation and comics and can't talk about their faith at work because everyone is just so hostile to them. Mm-hmm. 2 artists.
Yeah, I could read. So should we keep her name off?
Yes.
The cool thing is this is a woman. It's cool when women listen to our show because it's generally guys.
We love our women, all 3 of them in our audience.
Yeah. So this one says, I just listened to the latest podcast and wanted to say I really appreciated the words addressing loneliness. Christ endured everything we are afraid of, so what is there to fear? Why feel lonely? The more we live rightly, the more we draw like-minded people to us and unneeded things burn away. My husband was a first Marine in Desert Storm and is able to stay very cool. I try to learn from him in that way. He told me about how his helicopter went down at night in the Black Ocean and through staying calm got all his guys to shore. He survived being stabbed, running through hails of bullets, making it out of an Iraqi prison, and the hardest one, dealing with the French Marines. Like Doug said, it's a test of faith and we're going to pass it with joy too. Doug is right. That's probably your favorite line. We can be happy in the knowledge that no amount of pressure can change our faith or core values. As Chesterton said, what's right is right, even if nobody else does it.
Yeah, that's going back to you're tested in the storm, is when you find out what you're made of. Not in the good times, but you find out what you hold on to and what you actually are when the storm hits.
Yeah.
Which friends are standing there with you. I learn that every time I go through another one of these deplatforming weirdo attacks on Twitter. You find out who your friends are, and in my case, my backers. You'll get, say, 3 refunds. People are like, oh, I can't buy your work anymore, and then 10, maybe 20 people coming in to help out and going, I'm in. I want to counter the negative on your career. I appreciate that. It really warms my heart.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess it's easy to feel lonely, and then you have to remember that nobody ever said that you're going to get to be part of some big giant group where everybody agrees. Like if you're, the old cliche, because it's not a cliche, it's just Bible scripture. Wide is the road and narrow is the gate, or whatever, how it's worded.
Yeah. Because few will enter.
Yeah. So it's going to be lonely. It feels just having the thought process that ideas have consequences. You have to be consistent. If your view is this, then that leads to, you have to believe these things too. You can't just pick and choose and mix it all together like a salad bar. Yeah. That alone is going to make you feel very alone.
I was shocked when so many people agreed with me 15 years ago. That was far. When Obama stood up there in 2008 as a Christian, marriage is between a man and a woman. I went, wait a minute. I agree with that socialist fake on marriage. Are you kidding me? And then, of course, he got straightened out by culture. So made me feel better. You have to have the right enemies, Ethan.
I would love if there'd be a way to just change the pervasive, cultural, say Hollywood.
Yeah.
If all the big people in Hollywood suddenly came out as right-wing capitalists.
Yeah.
How quickly all of the followers and everybody who's trying to get a job in Hollywood, how suddenly everybody virtue signaling capitalists, overnight would change.
Oh, do you think that you don't think that Hollywood, is it possible? What if Hollywood came out as right-wing, evangelical, pro-life, pro-traditional marriage, anti-climate change? If they came out that way, don't you think Hollywood would quickly become the Chick-fil-A of entertainment?
They are entertainment.
No, but they would be like, no, we don't buy there. We don't go to movies anymore. You think they would all? You think they would all?
They're the cool kids. I think that a lot of all this stuff, I believe it's an outgrowth of junior high.
Yeah.
They're cool jocks. That's your athletics, your sports, your Michael Jordan, and all these guys. Shows how old I am that's the first athlete I think of.
Yeah. But that makes it even more stupid.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That it's merely trying to get a job as an actor, so you'll cave all your values to match someone else's. You'll let someone else get in your head.
I don't think it's quite that simple that they're just they wouldn't think at all about their values, but I think that it leads their value thought process. Because along with it, you're thinking, "What I want to get into this career," but you're also thinking, I just don't buy it that many people are getting super deep and philosophical about what they
that just makes
in
them
Hollywood.
Even more dumb, though. So now, when we've heard this as Christians, right? That why are there no good Republican Christian artists? Mm-hmm. And it's maybe because they're not dumb, so they didn't. Yeah. They didn't just
outing themselves.
Yeah, they didn't follow themselves into an industry and just empty their head out and take on whatever's inside the most famous guy's head as their new creed.
Well, I think a lot of people probably have their own beliefs, but they are willing to inject whatever the popular, for instance, you might not be a passionate, crazy about all this woke politics.
Yeah.
But you might be putting out a book and you might put a bunch of diversity stuff in there and save the world, recycle. You might throw all that stuff in there because that's where the culture's at and that's what's going to sell you your show.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. When you see tweets, I have tweets right here collected of, we have a staffed animated production and we need trans writers.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why wouldn't you lead at the top of your job application with trans? And they're like, we need more people of color in this storyboarding department. Why wouldn't you go, Hispanic, Latino?
Make sure. If you have a white sounding name, you got to change that quick.
Oh, that was my favorite thing. Was I saw a girl who got cast on one of my cartoons because her last name was Rodriguez, and she walks in and she's an albino, pale, redheaded girl, and they're like, "What?"
Fired.
We thought we were gonna get some.
Yeah, there's no points from this one.
Some woke points. You can't help us. Hey, Riverdance, take it somewhere else.
Diversity is the new racism.
It is. It's terrible.
Insane.
Well, but how hard would you stick to your values?
But even like something like that, like I think that the company wants the cultural points of announcing that we are hiring trans people. We are doing our part to, right the wrongs of history. It doesn't mean that every single person that's involved in that process really buys into that. But most of them probably just want to keep their job and want to do their work, and they don't want to get involved.
Yeah, well, that's most people, but
yeah,
it always seems like it's so hard to get into Hollywood. And this is why I tend to tell up and comers, keep it quiet.
Yeah.
Because it's hard enough to get that job without having a strike against you that should not even be mentioned in the room. If you're a Republican or whatever, I just, don't lead with that. You got to keep quiet till you get a career to bulletproof yourself from their bigotry against your beliefs. You have to get good enough.
Yeah. Well, even now, I'm sure I'm screwed. I mean,
oh yeah.
Most people meet me and they don't know, they just know Wax Cop, but that's one thing I almost feel like it's like, why am I pitching? The moment that they like the pitch and they're going to buy it, they're going to do their Google search on me. Oh, he's part of some Christian conservative comedy thing that's not woke.
Oh, yeah. I'm dead.
No way. Yeah.
I'm box office poison, baby. I'll never. Yep. There was a huge Hollywood studio is reaching out about Bigfoot Bill right now. And the first thing I thought was they're going to change their mind really quick when they do a basic due diligence on me. I am unemployable. There's no way.
The only thing is
they would never weather that.
If they think that you are if they think they can use you to get the money of those middle America weirdos that they don't understand.
They don't think that. They don't understand that they're driving the largest box office audience away right now.
But that's why you got the VeggieTales gig, right?
That is. Yeah.
Because you had that inside look into the weirdos.
Yeah. If I wasn't a Christian,
they would even have their kids watch this stuff.
They wouldn't have called me if I wasn't an outspoken right wing, what they consider a fundamentalist. So that did help me with that job. And I also happen to be very good, but
diversity cast.
It was the faith that really landed that thing. I think it's one of the few times it helped.
Well, yeah, that's what I remember. Our friend who was I don't even know what his position was. He was the guy at DreamWorks, the high up.
Yeah.
And he said, he's like, I'm just lucky I knew Doug. I couldn't think of anybody else who even talks about Christianity in Hollywood. He's like, so I called Doug.
I found the biggest mouth out there. Yeah. And I was like, I was like, hooray, finally a victory lap. I get some money for this. I got some money. I got a job for it.
Well, he had that graphic novel that got funded by the capitalist guy.
That's true. That's true.
That was a win. I couldn't believe that.
That was good.
You know how to find money.
I do. I'm very social and very well connected with a lot of different people. And so, in fact, the Bigfoot Bill thing was from a mutual guy that I know at this studio. And he just said, I was looking up comics and I saw Bigfoot Bill and I thought it looked like Doug TenNapel stuff. Then he saw the title. He goes, yeah, it's Doug TenNapel. So I just kind of thought, oh man, that meeting, I hope it works because it would be a really cool gig.
Yeah.
But at the same, and so here I am going, do I want to keep my mouth shut? I don't want to be, obviously as insulting as I am. That's not mandatory. But the idea that I have to hide my speech when everyone else in culture is just like screaming about how terrible the church is you know, use proper pronouns and all that.
Yeah.
That I just go, I think I can still live in my own skin comfortably in public enough, but at some point I am not going to be able to work. Mm-hmm. My kids, one of them said that, you know, they wanted to be a writer. And I said, don't you dare use your last name. Don't you dare use your last name if you want to make it in writing. I go, you go under a pen name.
Get a pen name.
So even my children can't be employed because of dad.
Wow. Just got to do it. Well, that is one frustrating thing to me is there's got to be enough people with money who don't like the wokeness of animation. Their kids are watching it. Like, why couldn't a animation studio? I don't want an animation studio that's political.
Yeah.
It's like, we're going to put out right-wing cartoons. I just want one that's like not actively pushing like wokeness.
Yeah.
It's just more free.
This is where conservatives are 100% dumb. Yeah, on this side of the whole thing. They do not put, they complain about their values. They do not put their money on their values. They do not fund. They should be reaching out to me, you, Mike Nelson, top guys in our field, and just saying, look, I've got millions of dollars. They are out there.
Yeah, they got to be out there.
And they'll spend it all day. They'll pipe all this garbage to they'll put their kids in a school and pipe all this garbage in them. They'll go out and fund all these movies. They'll go see Captain Marvel. You know, they'll put the money in Disney's pocket all day, but they will not fund conservative talent. And really, you know, if we had the funds, we could knock the head off this stuff. With independent productions now and independent distribution through YouTube or downloadable content or whatever, we could own comics, we could own video games, we could own movies, and they don't put their money there. And they'll all agree.
They're probably all putting stock in Disney and Apple and all that stuff and Netflix.
Oh, exactly. They'll all agree that politics are downstream from culture, and they won't. They'll throw a few $1,000s into some cultural thing and try something out and then just go, nah. And so I'm fine. I'm not going to tell them how to spend their money. I'm only saying conservatives are dumb if they don't fund it. Quit complaining.
We probably need someone who kind of would, why am I losing my words here? Who would, gather together the funds. I mean, there's people. There might be people who would invest, but you need somebody who could organize it all.
Yeah, but I see what does get funded. It's like God is not dead too. I don't. And again, I don't mourn that is funded. I just want more stuff funded. And I wish there was stuff that was a little more culturally potent that was out there being funded.
Yeah, even just a company that was like, we're not hiring based on diversity. We're purely based on if you're good or not.
Merit. Purely based on merit.
Based on merit. It's against company policy to discriminate people on their political views or whatever. We welcome conservatives, Republicans, liberals, everybody. Yeah.
We will not read names, age, sex, gender, political affiliation on anyone's what's it called? Application. We just merit. We'll look at a blind portfolio review or judge a script based on it. We will cast accordingly. That does not exist anymore because intersectional politics demands that you look at the outward makeup of a person. And then if the inward makeup of the person is politically incorrect, you cannot hire them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and purely on what we just said, that company would be called a racist, bigoted, white supremacist company.
That's right. So that's why by the way, Ethan, I don't mourn not being able to work for the studios. I mourn not getting the money, but I don't mourn at all because they destroy ideas and they destroy story and characters by the time it goes through that filter. If you're an artist who has potent things to say and you're comfortable in your own skin to talk about what you think and what you believe, and you were put here to write that story and draw that, that comic or animate that show, you don't care enough about your art if you run it through one of these studios.
Yeah,
I think So I'm turned on by independent funding and projects, and that's where I think my future is going to lie, because I'm just going. I've done so much studio work now, and it's a worse filter than ever to run your stuff through that filter.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll come out on the other side looking like just like everything else. They'll have peeled off all of the sharp edges.
Yeah. If you have a gang of kids, a Saturday afternoon gang, there will be X amount of blacks. There will be a kid in a wheelchair. There will be girls. There will be, you know what I mean? It's like they'll just start dictating everything and pressuring it, and they all start looking the same after a while. Yeah.
Yeah, like that was a thing with the book I just finished and put out, Brave Ollie Possum. It's a kid's book. It did, there a couple times got brought up, like, where's all the women in this book? Like, he has a mom. It's mostly animals in the book.
But he has a mom. Where's the real women?
Yeah, with a real one. Where's
the career scientist?
The career
there has
woman,
to be like the most brilliant nuclear scientist is a woman.
Yeah. Yeah. She's too busy for him because she's a nuclear scientist. That would have covered everything. But yeah, there was this. The question came up, but because my publisher was a Christian conservative leaning publisher, they got brought up, and then I was just like, it would be forced if I put if I changed some of these characters into females, it would feel weird because it's a natural group of friends, and natural groups of friends don't mix up like that.
That's right.
What I mean, like, they're on the periphery. There's female animals around, but like. He's falling in with a group of friends, and like in every reality I've ever been in, if I fall in with a group of friends, close friends that I, really bond with, not like you have your high school group of friends where everybody's getting crushes on each other and stuff, but that's not the story I was telling. It's because, you're all the same sex, because that's, you get each other in a way that the other opposite sex doesn't get you. And it's just,
yeah, which is already a horrifying thing to say, that there's something unique about the sexes.
Yeah, you can't say that. And
you can't say that. Remember back in the 60s and 70s when, if there was a girl that hung out with the guys, she was butch. She was the tomboy, or it was Darla in the Little Rascals. She was the precious princess that they all fought over. Mm-hmm. If there was a girl in the group, she was either trying too hard to be one of the boys, or the princess, like very much not a member of the group, but someone that they all fought over because they fell in love with her.
Well, it's the reality that culture wants to deny. Like they want to say guys and girls can all hang out and that tension does not exist. Yeah. And to me, that doesn't ring true. If I try to write that story, it doesn't really. So yeah. And that's what they want. They want us to write the world as it should be in their eyes. And that's not what I want to do. I want to write.
You want to tell the truth.
My experience, tell the truth. Yeah.
You can't eat.
Yeah.
You tell the truth. It doesn't get food unless it puts lotion on.
But do you think that they think that is the truth and it's been covered up by, society has covered it up with all these lies?
Yeah. I do think they believe it's true. But I think they believe it's true because most people get their values not from objective moral truth that was true 1,000 years ago and will be true 1,000 years from now. They get their values from personal relativism and cultural relativism, where whatever culture says is true, because they don't believe in an objective source of truth that can be higher than that. They don't believe we can get at truth.
But it seems like it has to be theory, because I've never seen... Like, what could they be pointing to in history where they go, see, in this culture, like men and women were completely indecipherable from each other. Yeah. They're acting like that's the obvious truth that we've covered up with culture, but I don't see how that's true.
I had talked to one of these female woke executives way high up who was in children's television. And she said, look, Doug, I know exactly where you're coming from. I have 2 boys. And she said, we've tried everything. And they're obsessed with guns and trucks. Yeah. She said it almost like a shame, like her kid was like an evangelical guy whose kid is coming out as gay. She's just like, we tried. And she goes, so I get it. So I think there's a lot of elasticity though in just what we will believe and what we will stomach and what we will throw out. And so a lot of them, I think, who have a pretty loose grasp of truth will just say, we just throw this stuff out. I'm not going to put my job on the line for that. I got to eat.
Yeah.
That's the bad news. The ending of both of Orwell's 1984 and Animal Farm is they're really grim. And then at the end, freedom loses in both of those stories. He's very pessimistic about what man will do when socialism or communism comes in, that you will sell out your friends and the big state will just continue on as this giant Leviathan until everything is just demolished. That was Orwell's take.
Yeah. Likely.
Yeah, possible. I mean, we still have to have a song on our hearts even as the whole ship goes down. That's why I like hanging out with friends, because the way that we always put it is we're watching society just swirl down the drain. But we'll have a song on our heart, we'll have a cigar in our hand, and we'll be laughing and creating as best we can, and down it goes. It's in God's hands.
Yeah. At the end of the day.
Yeah.
I don't know how you even make it through this life without believing that. Like, I guess it kind of makes sense why people get so worked up if your view really is that it's in your hands. It makes sense you'd go a little psycho.
What a terrible place to be, that I'm in control and, it's all going down. I'm just worm food. No one's in control. There is no true good or immaterial true good or evil out there beyond just just cultural convention. It's first of all, it's madness because it doesn't make sense why you and I would believe this way in spite of it only harming us or it only bringing shame or whatever. Why, if we're just a product of cause and effect, it seems like we'd be on board. If it's just self-preservation, we're in the same culture. We watch the same movies. We've read their books. How come it didn't suck us in and put us on the Borg ship?
Yeah, I don't know. I often wonder why did I have to turn out so different than all my other contemporaries?
It'd be so much easier.
I know. But I guess it is what it is. Just am what I am. Can't help it.
That's right.
I was born this way.
I was born to kick culture in the nuts. I was born this way, so don't judge me.
Yeah.
Maybe I was born this way. That gives me a pass, right?
Yeah, you get a pass.
Oh, good. Okay. Any other mail?
There is other. I mean, we actually been getting a lot of mail. I will tell you guys, you can email info@audiomullet.com. Some people send very long emails.
Easy on the long ones, guys. 3 paragraphs.
You do win some tips. Shorter and then bullet point or whatever. Clear, short questions tend to get, and then questions that aren't ones that we've already answered. I don't know. I should have pre-screened.
Yeah. And you never have to tell us how much our work has meant to you when you were a kid. That's a given.
We like to know. We did have a guy who wanted to have a conversation with us about transphobia. I guess.
Oh, really?
You were in but I think he's, his name is.
Don't say his name.
No, that's not his name. It's like his pseudonym he's using.
All right.
Peak Humanity.
Okay, Peak Humanity.
So I don't know. I guess he listened to one of our podcasts recently, and it had something to do with your controversy.
Yeah,
that happened on Twitter.
Yeah, what did he say?
All he said is he just said, "I was listening to your podcast. I heard comments regarding trans people, particularly trans women. I'd like to engage in a dialogue regarding it. I'm not anyone famous or significant. I'd like a chance to speak with anyone. I'd love to hear from you." I just replied and said I'd love to have a chat via email, but he kind of just didn't continue on the chat.
If he emails that same info@audiomullet.com, it'll get sent out to all of us or to one of us if you point it to us, and we can start that discussion. I talk to anybody about this stuff all the time.
Okay, I guess I could forward it to you and you guys could.
Yeah.
Oh, his follow-up was, that your statements regarding concepts of transphobia and homophobia, Doug in particular doesn't seem to have a decent grasp of how the words function or the particular criticisms he's received. Perhaps maybe he hasn't properly been engaged with. At about halfway, and you guys say you haven't been spoken to, perhaps this has changed. You even talk about coding. I don't know what that means. And it feels like you may be on the cusp of understanding that. Doug even talks about setting some sort of standard in Christophobia. There are a myriad of things I'd love to speak to you about.
Yeah, usually that means, though, he's going to try and straighten me out, and he's going to get really frustrated when he finds out. He finds out.
You thought this through more than he realizes.
I've read more than him. I have more trans people in my life. I'm actually closer to the subject than he knows. And he's going to come and try and lecture me about it. And I always feel bad for those people, because I'll just ask him, like, I'm looking for like a rational statement, something that is public and true and absolute and was true 1,000 years ago and is true 1,000 years from now. I'd love to hear that stuff that he has to say. Just put it in 3 paragraphs and email it in, and I'll read it. But all the people that are just repeating these cultural, the first thing is if you deny that homophobia is just a made up word, and they're going to try and say, they give me all words are made up, and I go, then fine, Christophobia is a made up word. And part of being a Christophobe is to call someone a homophobe. There, I just made it up. And they go, no, but a whole mass of people have to believe it. Oh, so now the whole mass, what they believe is true, like when they all vote Trump into office, that's all true now. It's like they won't follow an idea to its logical end. You can usually test a bad idea. And if I abandon one of my own principles, as soon as something I don't like comes up, that's always a test to me that either the thing I don't like is probably true because it gets broken across the principle, or the principle
well, just the word principle is like archaic sounding.
Or the principle is false because I have to change it to adhere to that other thing that I know is true.
Right.
Like it's either or. You can't start switching principles if things do apply and they're in context to it. It's a great test, actually, for those of you guys who are trying to find some kind of a coherent. It coheres. It's a rational point of view. It can be applied to other things. It's useful because when it extends in areas that you don't know, if the context applies, the principle holds, and it gives interesting, true answers. Those are things that we should all be doing anyways. So yeah, I'll have a talk.
All right, because I'll throw an email in there.
Yeah,
I don't know. I mean, I'm sure you've been around and around on this topic.
Oh, good Lord!
But that's it is the thing that drives me nuts with the words transphobia, homophobia. The big criticism is that, the anti-gay are assigning illnesses to these people that have this. And then what do they do in response? They assign an illness to us or to whoever, So if you're homophobia, you've been assigned an illness.
They're far more anti-Christ than I am anti-gay. And they keep calling it Doug's anti-gay. It's not that I'm anti-gay. It's I actually know and love these people. I get it, what's going on in their head, and I also think they're almost all universally really broken people who deserve my compassion. So if I joke about gays, or I call you gay, or I misgender you, I don't want to add to your hurt and demolish you, even though you're only hurt because culture told you to be.
Yeah, that's a whole other can of worms.
Let's close that can of worms.
We're reaching the end. Let's close it. The other thing you guys could do, it might be interesting to try out if you email me. Don't make it long, but you could send me a sound file of you asking a question, and I can play it on the show. Record it on your phone or whatever, and just say, "Hey, this is so and so. Here's my question."
Oh, we're getting in the 20th century. We're no longer even in the 19th.
It's like a call-in show, but I can screen you first.
It.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be good. Yeah, just a short clip. Email it in. That'd be good radio. That's good radio.
Especially if you disagree with us. And or any burning questions, things that you wrestle with. Those are the kind of things we like to talk about.
Yeah.
All right.
This has been Audio Mullet. I'm Doug Tenapo. That's Ethan Nicole. Thanks for listening. We love you guys.
Audio Mullet, a mullet of audio smash.